to women of minority background. Black women, especially black women in her speech, who have been neglected, she said, neglected, overlooked, and never really thanked to a degree, and spoke to the fact that she will try to be a surrogate, or at least try to reach out to all in the administration, in that class. Notable, then after her speech, Vice President Biden spoke for 39, there it is, 36 in the air there, fireworks for you. Vice President Biden then took the stage at 5:39 Pacific Standard Time, 8:39 Eastern, and emphatically thanked the crowd, thanked the home team, as they would say, the Delaware, the leadership of Delaware political leadership, Governor Carper, and the representatives in the audience, and family members, kind of have a bit of a local touch to it. And then thanked the people, the American people, and addressed, I think, the issue in the room, his election. Addressed the fact he has the most votes, addressed the fact he has the most votes, and he does at this moment, the most votes of any presidential candidate in American history so far. And in this election, for the popular vote, one thing he did not mention, his opponent. Not one word of his opponent in this speech whatsoever. I did not hear the word Trump come up, at least when I was in the room, for the most part. He talked about his agenda. He talked about bipartisanship. He made a call for unity and a pledge, but above all, he talked about forming a task force on Monday to address the issue at heart, and that is the coronavirus. The issue that's got us wearing masks, and that's basically changed our lives so much. He made an empathetic plea to the country and the nation at heart about the situation at hand. Talked about policy areas, trying to find common ground with Republicans. And I think he also addressed one of the biggest elephants in the room, the lack of political cooperation in Washington, and his urging unity. So I'm going to go ahead and turn back here. It looks like they're going back to the page where the fireworks shows ended. So this is now the MSNBC feed. Calls for unity. And I close with the phrase that he always would say at campaign rallies about, his grandmother telling him to keep the faith. Well, in this situation, it's spread the faith. And I think it's kind of ironic, interesting yet ironic, because considering that there is a spread of something going on, that isn't appropriate. I guess maybe hopeful to say something a little more tongue-in-cheek, but you need to spread something that may be uplifting to a degree. And he ended his march at about 5:57 p.m. So we now, my fellow Americans, I say this in the nicest possible terms to the administration in power right now. We have a unique political circumstance where we have, on one hand, a government in waiting. On the other hand, we have the government in government that has yet to concede that they have lost or are not going to be the next government come January. And I will openly tell you that today I have been made aware that there was an event in Carson City and throughout the state of Trump supporters going into the streets and claiming false claims. I'm calling it what it is. And I think it's flat out clear at this time that from the evidence I've seen and I am aware of, that these considerations of potential fraud do not hold a lot of weight. And that, frankly, is what's holding up the presidents and their team's willingness to concede at this time. That there are that apparently voting or votes are false. And I caution and issue a statement of grave concern in that, and I'm trying not to get into commentary here because it's not my place, but I caution my fellow Americans as the days continue, as the votes continue, as the vote tabulation in Georgia, Nevada, Pennsylvania, North Carolina, and Alaska continue on, and elsewhere, that we let the count continue, and those doing this count continue it, because it is work that needs to be done, but to also patience and keep, and please follow the facts. As if there are these claims, and yet these claims have no substance behind them, I validly and rationally ask you to dispense with that. It's really not, what's the word I'm looking for, responsible. It's actually very not conducive, and it's not safe. And being in this business, I'm in the fact business, I think it's prudent that we try to state to the facts, and not claims that have nothing supporting it. And so I'm not trying to jump on the bandwagon here, but very credible news organizations like my own, who have a lot more resources than I do, who spend a lot more time analyzing data, hard data, not just polling data, but voting information from across the country on that information that comes from government sources that validate that information is true and valid, that do what I do on a daily basis and check that data daily, if not on the moment, to make sure those numbers are correct, to see that that information is valid and true. And then they back it up with actual audits. They don't make these claims falsely. They do the best they can to verify these claims. So, as we go forward in the days forward, I caution people to read very carefully, do your due diligence, do your homework, please check, fact check, double check. Don't go off of one source, don't go off of one network, don't go off of one person, don't go off of what I say. Go check it out, please. Double check it, and then triple check it before you go, that's what's right. Or I see that. Because that's kind of what's causing the problem right now. So my fellow Americans, as we are in a bit of tumult and trying to figure out this moment, I caution and I urge caution. I'm trying to stay out of the commentary business here, but that's what I'm trying to say. Because accusations, false accusations and claims only serve to hurt people and cause a great deal of chaos, confusion, distrust, and if it's only made out of malice, anger, and mistrust, and not because of actual valid points, it only serves to hurt. Elections have consequences, as you say, and when you lose, and when you win, you win. But it's easy to let our emotions and let emotions dictate what is true and what's not. So, I'm going to let the guy who literally saved Mr. Biden's campaign in South Carolina speak for a minute. Because he did in South Carolina. He gave the endorsement that kicked in life to Joe Biden's campaign. After New England, after the trouncing in New England, and after the whooping in Nevada, the caucus, where it was the Democrat Party was having an existential political crisis. Was Bernie Sanders going to be the nominee? His endorsement basically changed the game. So I'm going to let him speak for a second. I'll be right back. So, I'm going to go ahead and start with this. I guess I decided to let that take over. Because I thought that Mr. Clever and Word were rather important. So I'm going to finish this here in about 10 minutes. As I think today's been a hell of a day, I think, for everyone involved. As this moment in time for our country and our fellow Americans, it doesn't end anything. I want to make this abundantly clear for a lot of reasons. You know, these numbers, this information does not reflect the end of it all. It's really a close of a chapter. Right now, the election has ended effectively at the federal, national, state, and local levels, for lack of a word. But the next step in this process is called governance, governing. That's the hard part. Politics is easy for some people. It's rhetoric, for lack of a word, some would say. Trying not to editorialize this, but here we go. At the same time, governing is hard. The act of finding getting a group of people to do something in representative government that you need them to do, and then trying to get somebody else who may not agree with you, that's going to oppose you every step of the way, and trying to find a way to make it work is a hard deal. And that's what these folks are now going to have to do. Put in the words that they have said to you and I. And put them into action. That's hard. It's hard to make words and ideas into law that has to be enforced and made real. Sometimes it costs too much money. Healthcare is one of those issues, and we'll see how that goes. Tuesday, the healthcare decision effectively is on the table, on the 10th, and we'll see how that goes. Second, what do you do after? If the HTA gets struck down, what goes in place? With now the likelihood of a Republican U.S. Senate. And let me go and pull that up for y'all. This is the state of business here. So, notable to everybody on stage right now. Notable. Georgia is going to be the center of the political universe in 60, 70 days. And why is that? Because Georgia will have 2 runoffs going on at the same time, darn at the same time. Ossoff put Purdue under 50%. And Warner has got Loeffler in a three-way tie. Warnock, yeah, in Georgia. These two races, this race will effectively decide the fate and the future of the U.S. Senate. Because right now it's at a, I think, 48-49 tie. I don't think there's anything contestable at this point.
Okay, thank you, Congressman.
Oh, look for a map.
Nicole and I are happy to be joined by Simone Sanders, Senior Advisor to the Biden-Harris campaign. Simone, you, between Nicole and
So,
we have talked to you
right now it's a tie.
many times on television.
And I'm going to venture to say that's going to end up in Republican hands.
Absolutely.
I am not,
Those who are wearing white, and I know the reason why. You may remember
Can't get it to
the phrase
work.
fired up and ready to go. I'm wondering if you're fired up and ready to go, and more than that, I'm wondering if you're ready to reach across to 70 million Americans who voted the other way.
Absolutely, look.
Okay.
We're excited, and I would echo what you heard
Uh,
from President-elect Joe Biden tonight and Vice President-elect Kamala Harris, that this will be an administration for all people, whether or not folks voted for the Biden-Harris ticket. And I think that's
Okay, one second. Okay.
stark contrast from what we've seen in the current president of the United States. And go back to President-elect Biden's message.
Okay.
His message at the beginning of this race was to restore the soul of this nation, rebuild the backbone of this country in a way that brings everyone along this time.
So, this is where we're at here.
He's going to make good on that promise, and I know I can speak for both him and the Vice President-elect when I say they can't wait to get to work for the American people.
This is where we're at.
Simone, first of all, congratulations.
This will be a runoff right here. And this runoff,
When I tell you, you guys
it's kind of a guarantee this runoff will end up being Republican across the board. Except the Ossoff, likely the Ossoff Purdue race has the highest potentially falling into Democrat hands. And here's why. There's going to be a ton of money falling into this race. A ton. The Loeffler Warnock race, that's a little harder to play with because runoff elections are difficult. You've got to not only get above 50%, you have to train your fire effectively enough that you get all your people out to vote and outvote the other guy and then get above 50%. And you've got to peel off enough votes from the other guy to swing in your favor. In this situation, you got to do it twice in Georgia. The Democrats of Georgia have demonstrated they can do it. Stacey Abrams is now a new patron saint of the Democratic Party because of what she did here. She has managed to get this state to turn blue as a result. And as a result, it's made this place the center of the universe. I am not a thought process right now that Cunningham is going to win this thing because of how the vote totals are sitting right now. It's sitting somewhere north of 70, 80,000 Republican votes in advance towards Trump. And naturally, you know, after that, probably a good portion of that is peeled off towards Tillis, which means that Tillis is likely going back, even after the inside trading issue. Even after having not run the best campaign in the world. And the polling on that one's kind of off as well. So, that being said, this is what you're looking at here. These seats will decide whether or not this stays in Republican hands. Because this is, unfortunately, the best that the Democrats could do. This election was supposed to have been a bumper crop for those Democrats. They thought Maine was in striking distance. It turns out they were 10 points off completely. I don't think ever McConnell's ever in danger. Kentucky's a Republican state. They may have Andy Beshear as a Democrat, but Andy Beshear is a Kentucky Democrat. Point of perspective. And Montana was a close one. That was really close. I mean, for the same reason why John Tester is a U.S. Senator, which I do not see that lasting very long, by the way, in the next cycle. Steve Bullock was probably the best they could do for Canada, and he was. He was likable, affable, but in the end, just couldn't get close enough. Just couldn't win it, pull it off. And Kansas, don't even get me started on that one. That was, they had the best shot they had was to try to get what's his name elected in the primary, and the National Republicans were damn sure, damn focused to not let what's his name become the nominee, and got Marshall instead, the Republican nominee. In Texas, John Cornyn is going back. He's a member of leadership. Alaska, there's enough. I don't see there's enough in Alaska. I don't see enough atmospherics and numbers and political reasoning for Alaskans to turn and not send back a one-term senator. So I see that turning back. So, that being said, here's where we are after tonight. We now have a president-elect who's just given his speech, first speech of the country. We have a nation, 48% of the country, who may or may not be in a place of acceptance right now, because their elite candidate hasn't really formally conceded. We'll have to give that time. We have a U.S. Senate that is likely Republican hands. And the House. And this is why this one matters a lot, too. The U.S. House, with some of these races still up in the air, there will be a majority. It's a reduced majority, but as Nancy Pelosi lost 8 seats, and that's a big deal. So it now means that she now needs to lean on members like Stephen Horsford. Dina Titus, not so much. Stephen Horsford, this Cortez, AOC, or Deb Haaland.
His truth is marching on. John Lewis and the power of hope. I can tell you it's a powerful book. Good evening and welcome to you all. Let's hear Mr. Costa.
Where are my other troublemakers?
The risk of bumming people out. Tell us
Tim Ryan,
the benefit of your latest reporting.
Ms. Slotkin.
The White House effort.
She's got to lean on these people a little more because she doesn't have the room for error as she used to. Because she lost members in places like Iowa, like Abby Finkenauer, who pulled up. This district was a gain in 18 from Steve King, and they needed it. They need districts like this or numbers like this to help build that majority, because that's where the majorities are won. Another key district. That Republicans are likely to pick up. That they picked up from 18. It was Maya King, I think it was Maya's district, I believe. Utah 4. These districts were Democrat gains in 18. Now are Republican pickups. Republicans gained. Didn't lose a thing. They gained. So the margins are now tight. So now Joe Biden's speech tonight was rather important because he is talking to this country. He is talking to this country tonight. For them to pass anything meaningful, big, and important, they're going to need Republican votes, and you need Republican votes that can reach across the aisle. The question is, what does this guy do? Seriously, what do you do about this guy? in all honesty, what do you do about this guy if you're a Republican? Well, technically the new leader of the Republican Party, the highest ranking political leader of the Republican Party is Mitch McConnell. He doesn't have to deal with this guy anymore, politically. But he does. That's why. So, what do you say to this guy who's claiming this right now? What do you do about a figure who is so divisive, so politically an issue for you, who may be in opposition, who's not in government anymore? How do you deal with somebody like this? And that's going to be the critical question for this guy. Well, by the way, that's what the margin he won by. What do you say about this? Who, last comment he said was this. What do you do about this guy? So, these are the elements of what's going on. This is what's going on as a whole. So, my fellow Americans, my fellow Divens, my fellow Realites, that is the message I have for you tonight. As tonight, such a momentous speech has just finished up. We've heard our first words from our new potential president-elect and vice president-elect, Joseph P. Biden of Delaware, and in January, former Senator and now Vice President-elect Kamala Harris, who we'll see what happens in California about that. The fact that when she does vacate her seat, we'll see what happens with that. I have a bit of information and a bit of understanding of how that may play out. And I'll leave that to Governor Newsom on that, who has his. I'll let Governor Newsom decide what to do on that. We'll see on that. At this hour, though, I wish to say to you, thank you for watching. This is my best attempt at doing a multi-live cast on YouTube, Facebook, and on hard camera and audio on such a momentous moment. So I want to say thank you for letting me try this experiment out. I also wish to state to you as well, this will probably be the last time you'll be seeing me for a while, as unless there's something really, really big that happens locally here in North Nevada, I will be taking some time away from the public stage. It's time. It really is. I've been following this campaign for 2 years. I'm tired. It's been fun. It's been great. I say thank you, but like all good things, they must come to an end, and I need to make some decisions. I need to get some rest, and hopefully sooner than later I'll be back up online to talk to you again. Hopefully for a session. If not, it's been truly a pleasure. It's been an honor to talk to you all, to share a few moments, to talk about these things. And I truly enjoy talking about politics and America and American politics. And it's it's been an honor. I keep saying that. It has. It really has been an honor. It's been a great pleasure to share many nights and many political concerns, and have a chance to explain to you what's going on. So I have no new updates for you tonight, except I think I'll do a quick run through Washoe County real quick and local stuff, and then I will call it a night. As it's getting late and you're probably very tired of hearing of me. So let's do that real quick and then we'll go.
We always have to be, I think, just a reminder of the possibilities of the country. But the last 4 years are a reminder of the perils that always face us. As the old 18th century, 19th century trope, eternal vigilance is the price of liberty. And I think it's a price that we all have to be willing to pay.
As it stands in Washoe County at this hour, nothing's changed because last time they did updates was at 10 o'clock this evening. 10 o'clock this morning. Donald Trump's still trailing in Washoe County. Nobody's still leading. Race I'm watching. Skip Daly's still trailing. Joe Dickens still leading. Heidi Gans's still leading. Marcia Burfield is still trailing. Alexis Hill considerably. Baker's still trailing considerably to incumbent Hartine. Jeff Church is still leading. Scott Kelly's trailing. Andy Taylor looks like she'll be reelected. Nicolette's looks like she's leading to Weisner. Jay Breckes looks like she's still leading. Oscar De La Gala looks like he's still leading. It's Leon. It's Rudy Leon. Leona Jardine looks like she's still leading. Distinct. And Eddie Lorton looks like he's still trailing to Devin Reese. And Abbott looks like he's still leading to start off. And Mr. Anderson looks like he's still leading to Mr. Smith. The questions still look like in Washoe County. Yes is losing to no. Question 2, yes is still leading. Question 3, questions 3 still leading, yes. Question 4 is still leading, yes. Question 6, still leading.
One of my favorite supplements is quinoa turmeric. Turmeric helps with healthy
And it's like on WC1, the home screens, no. Yeah, no is leading. And no is leading again. And Richard MacArthur is still leading his race. And let's go to refresh real quick. MacArthur's still leading. And Andy Matthews looks like he's still leading it. And I'm just going to refresh this real quick. Carrie Buck looks like she's still leading. Carrie Buck looks like she's still leading in hers. And Canzaro looks like she's still leading as well. So, that is where we are. So all of you watching who have endured all this, again, thank you for enduring my experimental attempt at YouTube, Facebook, and recording this from a different angle. It has been interesting. It's been great. And I'm going to miss doing this, guys, until session begins, until we start talking about media policy items. Tonight, I guess the question now is, for the Democrats here in Carson City and all throughout Nevada, is the loss of a supermajority in the state assembly and the missed opportunity of the supermajority in the Senate. And now, how do you govern with the likely more entrenched, more confident, and likely more assertive Republican Party that's not really in a room for compromise to a degree, and in fact is still litigating a lawsuit on a majority decision, on a decision that happened in the last session, on the Settlemyre lawsuit, which right now is under appeal right now. So, and $190 million is up to grabs on that one, on tax revenue to both the Park County School District and whatnot, and the DMV fees. So that's where we are right now. That's what I have for you tonight. Thank you for watching. I bid you all a good morning, or good night. This is Don concluding this broadcast at 6:41 p.m. or 6:42 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 9:42 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thank you for watching. Good night. Take care. And be safe. And remember, in Washoe County, it's final. The results are finalized in Washoe County on the 16th. Last day for any ballots to come in the mail that were postmarked on the 3rd, have to arrive on the 10th. You check your stuff out on ballot tracks. You want to see if it's made it through. If not, call. Apparently, calling's faster. And if you have an issue queuing, please don't be afraid to call your county registrar's office. Otherwise, thanks for watching. Good night. Take care.
That's how it starts to grow back. When the incoming commander-in-chief, when the incoming president starts his conversation with the American people with love of country. Because that sense of connection to the leadership and to the purpose of this president, current President Trump, was missing. It was a broken link. He ridiculed us. He made fun of our foibles and our handicaps. He, disparaged our war hero and war dead. So to have a president-elect start the conversation with love of country, you know what comes next. It's got to be good, and it makes you feel good, which is why today I tweeted out I was watching all of this, Brian. And I just tweeted out, America, we're watching a national block party break out all across the country. There was this immense relief. So that starfish